So the final question before we move forward is going to be, in what ways do principals and co-administrators ensure that all students have access to a quality education designed specifically for them?
That is the $1,000,000 question. And I think it's so important that us as leaders, as administrators, whether you be principals or vice principals, really work hand in hand with your educators in regards to creating that professional learning community that will help strive and get you where you get your students and your educators to where you want to go. I think one of the things as a former administrator, I wanted to change the perception of a West Side school. In order to do that, we had to really create the buy-in of our educators that we can change this narrative that's happening on our campus. And to do that, we needed to really come together as a staff and as grade levels to really look at the content that we're teaching and what we're doing. And so the guiding question that I asked in regards to the teacher number one, where are we going? I think it's important for administrators as instructional leaders to really analyze the standards with their educators in order to really create these lessons that we're looking at. Design some learning progressions, developing daily learning intentions, and then identify success criteria. So in terms of really helping our teachers to really understand where we're going, how we're going to get there, and what's going to be our identifying pieces to show that we've met that success in order to get there. So is that common assessments? Are those just small snapshots of things that we do in the classrooms to really tell whether our students are learning or not? But really having those opportunities to check into what it is that we're doing in order to move things forward. I guess in regards to then collecting that data and seeing where did we do well, what are some areas that we need to grow in, and what resources do we need to add in order to support, in order for us to reach what it is that we were trying to get. And then I think from there, look at maybe some school-wide strategies or some school-wide programming that we can implement in order to help us in areas where we're falling short. So really analyzing what it is that we're doing in order to move things forward. And so then with that being said, as administrators, then we have to have some form of accountability to our educators and maybe do some learning walkthroughs or some, it slipped me just that quick. Do some equity walks, lesson studies, different things of that nature to really push the dial in terms of what's happening on our campuses. And is it something we need to learn from or grow from in order to move things forward? But if we want to get into this habit of being reflective in regards to our practices in terms of what we're doing through our assessments and our data collection in order to move things forward. And then I think the last thing is we need to also create some tools for us as leaders to be able to show whether or not we're getting in the classrooms the way that we should, that we're kind of analyzing the things that are taking place, and then what things are we helping our educators to advance or grow in if we show it as a need. Because what we don't want to do is provide professional development, and then that professional development does not make it into the classroom. So we want to be very intentional and deliberate in terms of what we bring to our educators and support them. And through creating maybe a leadership team of our educators, really being reflective in terms of our practice and evaluating our whole instructional program to make sure that we're meeting the needs of our scholars in order to do what's necessary. So when we talk about equity, it's just not in regards to the kids, but it's also to the teachers, because as principals, we have to make sure that we're being equitable to our educators, providing them the tools that they need, the resources that they need in order to be the best, in order to serve our customer, who is the student, in order to do what it is that they need to do.
Wow, well, this has been very enlightening on this afternoon. And again, it just made me think about like all of the practices that you mentioned, getting the buy-in and, buy-in from the staff. Just made me think of UDL again, because how do we get buy-in from students? And so if we're looking at at systems and frameworks to put into place, to ensure that our administrators, co-administrators, and our teachers are really servicing our clients, as you say, Dr. Brown, then we got some work to do. And I know that throughout Riverside County, our teachers are ready for this work. So thank you.
So when I was thinking about a former leader that I was under, he was saying that the client could be the parent, and making sure that we're serving the parent because again, it's their child in regards to it. But I also look at it in regards to the student, because the student is also a client in the sense of they're the ones sitting there and we're providing them this service. And so it's important for us to make sure that we're giving them the best. If we wanted to consider ourselves Nordstrom's and how they give us that best customer service, or the Ritz-Carlton or any of those types of places, when individuals walk in there, they get premier service. And so are we giving our scholars premier service when they walk through our gates?